Hello and welcome back to level 3 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. I am Jeremy. I am here with my fellow podcasters. I have David.
What's up?
And I have Cory.
Hey y'all, Cory here.
Now, hopefully, as you guys know, Thoughts and Players is the brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. We want to once again thank everyone for all of the support. It's really,
I love you.
Really, David loves you. I don't know if Cory loves you. I will tell you that I do not love you, but I do appreciate you. My love is very hard to earn. So let's see here, guys. Maybe we should just jump on into these morning announcements, get these news items out the way, and get to talking some gaming, huh?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, it is time for the morning announcements. Item 1. BioWare, they provide a May update to Anthem on their blog, stating that they have a 30-person team, their incubation team, and they've been sketching out and coming up with concepts on how to improve the game. That it's a long road. They don't have anything set yet, but they're going to do it. That is an absolutely meaningless update. Means nothing.
I believe so as well. It seems like they're trying to save face a little bit. I really don't think there's going to be any really major changes to the game, and I don't think anyone's going to care if they do make them.
Right. Yeah. It's a year and a half after your game came out.
Right.
Year and a half.
So, everyone's moved on.
It's only so much time you have.
Right. Item number 2, the NFL Madden Championship was won by a player, I believe his name is Joker, who played using the Redskins punter Tress Way at quarterback and did not throw a single pass. He used a retired all-pro guard, I believe, Joe Thomas, as a tight end or a wide receiver. And he basically just manipulated the meta of the game, the meta being that the game is terribly broken. And that's what it is. And speaking of Madden, it's great because we're recording this, May 28th? And it was just announced that the NFL and EA Sports have extended their exclusive license for another 5 years. Yeah.
2026, right?
Yep. It is such great news.
You know, I can't blame that guy, though, for playing like that, because I have also won games not passing the ball a single time because Madden tends to be a little broken. So you can't hate the player.
A little. Right.
I've never played those games, but that information just blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And because of this whole COVID thing, everyone got to see it on ESPN too. So it was the only kind of sports related thing you could kind of see live. And they got to see this guy just run the football every single play, which is great, especially when you have mostly quarterbacks on your titles cover. Right. Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. They had Tom Brady. They had Aaron Rodgers. Nah.
Next year, a punter on the cover.
Next year, Tress Way. Number 3, we have Valorant, which is release date has been announced for June 2nd. Have any of you guys actually played Valorant? I haven't played Valorant before.
I have played it. I like it. It's CS:GO and Overwatch combined. Honestly, I'm still getting used to it. I haven't played ranked yet. I'm kind of scared because I'm really bad at it. But when it comes out, because when you play ranked, your ranking doesn't go into the game release. So I'm just gonna wait until then just to see what I can get.
I haven't played it, but I would definitely be interested if they release it on console. I'll definitely give it a download. I believe it's going to be free to play, correct?
Yes,
someone
free.
Back me up? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So I'd give it a try. Sounds like it's fun. You know, CSGO is like a kind of a Twitch shooter, and Overwatch is, has all those great characters with the powers. So I'd give it a try.
Okay.
You, Jeremy?
And not a lot of interest in it.
Not your cup of tea.
Not really.
Okay.
It's all fair.
And let's see here. Item number 4, I believe, is that G2A admits to selling stolen games. Now, if anyone doesn't know, G2A usually sells licenses or Steam keys to access different games. They're known for being a lot cheaper than getting it through the traditional method. They've been accused of selling stolen keys before. And so, they got tired of the accusations and said, hey, if any developer or any publisher or anyone can prove that we've been selling stolen keys, we will what was it, reimburse you not just what it was old, but 15 times that, or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And so a very small indie developer said, "Oh no, yeah, you've been selling stolen keys of my game," and G2A, to their credit, paid up.
They admitted it.
Yeah,
they did their own investigation, and they found, I guess we were selling stolen keys. Sorry.
Yeah.
As crappy as that is, I appreciate the honesty. That's quality.
Well, what I think happened is that upper management didn't really know how the sausage was getting made. So they're walking around like, yeah, we're a great company. We don't sell stolen keys. And then everyone who's in the trenches doing the dirty work like, oh, this guy doesn't know how we make money.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So that is it for the morning announcements. But we have the round table where we would discuss the 3 biggest, most interesting stories to us. First up on that is that the Sony CEO promises a compelling lineup of games, whether they're launch games or they're going to be eventually the lineup of compelling games on PlayStation. I think we all would hope so. Cory, what do you think about this?
All right, so that was the news story like 4 or 5 days ago. The news story as of yesterday is Sony is planning a news conference as early as next week. So hopefully we'll get to see those compelling games next week. I heard June 3rd. So it's just, I don't know, it's a news story that will turn into a news story. There's really no news right now, but it's going to turn into a news story, hopefully as early as next week. And I'm kind of just interested in what games would compel you guys, and what do you want to see out of Sony? Because they've shown so little, so it's kind of like up in the air. What would kind of get you hyped for this PS5 reveal? Anything?
I'm not big on Sony, but because the last one I have is a PS3, and I got that strictly for The Last of Us. But with PS5 coming, I hope that The Last of Us Part 2 is on it, because I'll just wait and get the PS5, get The Last of Us Part 2, and it honestly will be worth the money. It's worth the hype, and that's where it ends for me.
Yeah, I can't. As far as maybe games go, the only game that may get me hyped for PS5 is maybe a Horizon Zero Dawn sequel.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I'll admit that as I've migrated to being more of a PC player, it's really more difficult to get hyped for these consoles. But I mean, I don't really need another Uncharted. I know people want it, but I don't really need another one. Another God of War would be great. Another Spider-Man would be great.
You're taking all mine, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lay them out. I'll shut up. Lay them out.
All right. So God of War 2 is a must. It doesn't have to happen at release, but it's got to have like a window. Like, hey, God of War is coming. Spider-Man 2, love the first one. I'm a huge Spider-Man guy. I thought it was one of the best superhero games ever made, along with the Arkham series. I got to see number 2 of that. One of my long shots that I really would like to see, don't know if it's going to happen, is Bloodborne 2. Fantastic game. It's a Souls-like game, from Software. And I believe Sony owns the rights to Bloodborne, but obviously From Software made the game. So I would really like to see that one out there. And in terms of like what I want to see the system be, I kind of want it to be PC. You said you've migrated to PC. I kind of want it to be a PC where, hey, you're in the Sony brand. We got you covered. You got PS4, you got PS3, you got PS2, you got PS1. This is our ecosystem now. Everything under the Sony brand is now on the PS5. I don't think it's going to happen. But Xbox is promising thousands of games at launch with their backwards compatibility. I'm kind of interested to see if Sony has an answer to that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that. They have to win. I believe, at the hardware aspect of it, like they did this gen, because Xbox lost the hardware part of it. So Xbox has been spending the better part of this generation building the Xbox platform. So it's more about the platform than the hardware.
Well, here's the thing. Sony, based on the specs we've seen, they've already kind of lost the hardware battle. I don't really know that much about all the hardware stuff, but teraflops, they have less teraflops. They've got every one of their things is a little bit less than Xbox. So they have the SSD, which they're really touting as 100 times faster than the PS4. Can that carry them? Yeah, it might. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think in that aspect, it may be more of a value proposition, because I think everyone expects the Xbox Series X to be a pretty expensive piece of hardware. So, and there's already rumors about PS5 maybe not being that affordable. So I think they really need to win at that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably how they win the next console generation. They've got to be cheaper. Yeah. Because I don't think they're going to be as strong. So.
Yeah, I believe actually I saw an ad for PS5. It was like a 0.84 terabyte was like $550, and a 1.2 terabyte was like $649.
Oh yeah, for the like the prices they think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's expensive, and I don't know if it's going to be that much cheaper than the Xbox. And if the Xbox is stronger, and it's just around the same price, Sony better come out with this compelling lineup of games, like the CEO said.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is that, like I was kind of saying before, the Xbox One and the PS4 came out a bit underpowered, I think partially due to the recession. Mm-hmm. Well, we're in another one. So I wonder how they're going to one. Yeah, I wonder how they're going to work with that.
Right.
Yep. Let's see here. Next big news story to us is that the Dead by Daylight, they've unveiled Silent Hill DLC. Now, obviously, we have our veteran signature Dead by Daylight player, David, here. This caught your interest, David. Tell us a bit more about it.
I am so excited. So they are already on the testing build for the game. So I've seen some gameplay already. And it's Pyramid Head and Cheryl Mason, the main girl in the series. She looks a lot like the one from the second movie. I know it's from one of the games too. I haven't played the games, unfortunately, so I'm sorry out there, Silent Hill fans. I'm just a really big fan of the films, but the killer brings a lot to the table with being a killer. He has his own cage. He can set traps into the ground, just cutting it. And as Cheryl, she brings 3 new perks to the game. So it's really opening the game to be fun again. And even Silent Hill page on Facebook posted about it. So there's a lot of Silent Hill fans who are like, what is this Dead by Daylight? I've never heard of this before. I'm interested. So there's going to be a lot of more new players. So that's exciting. And it's their 4-year anniversary. That's why they had this big combination going on. So it comes out in June. I'm excited. I hope more people are going to be excited about it. I hope you guys try it. I cannot stress enough how fun this game is as a killer or a survivor.
So I got so Dead by Daylight seems like it's been one of the best games at getting like these separate IPs together as DLC. Like they have at least 5 or 6 or 7 different IPs together in this game. And they've done a really good job of it, it seems. I want to ask you, do you have like a dream DLC, whether it be from another video game or from a movie? Like, who do you want to see next after this guy?
Honestly, it would be awesome if they could somehow manage to tangle in something from Resident Evil. Like, if you could walk around as like Nemesis or Mr. X and somehow not make them like overpowered for the game itself. And then as a survivor, like run around as Claire or Leon or Chris, or even Wesker, even though he's kind of an evil person.
Right.
But like that I will give you all my money for that at that point. Because you can buy skins and stuff like a lot of other games, stuff like that. I haven't purchased any myself because you can purchase them through these shards that you earn as you level up. But I will buy those skins for sure.
Jeremy, you have a dream DLC? I know you don't play the game, but anything that would like, get your interest going?
Yeah, so mine is probably not going to be really game related, but more so movie related.
Okay.
I think it would be cool if you could, and I forgot his name, but if you guys remember the killer that Javier Bardem played in No Country for Old Men.
Ah, yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Sugar. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Antoine Sugar.
Yeah. If you
he's great.
If you could play Antoine in that would be super cool. I think, let's see, who else?
Which it could be plausible at some point because they have Freddy, Mike, Ghostface, stuff like that. So that could be a very plausible thing.
Now I had a couple that I think would be kind of cool. Now, correct me if they're already in here. I don't think so, but Pennywise?
He is not in the game.
I think Pennywise would have just an awesome level. He would be a great killer. Very, very scary guy and kind of off the beaten path. I think a Velociraptor and like a Jurassic Park level would be kind of cool. I don't know how the mechanics would work for the raptor, right, but I feel like that would be awesome.
That would be hard to integrate because you're capturing the survivors, you're hooking them, you're doing a lot of killer type things where Velociraptors are more like ravishing. And if it doesn't entice you at all, there is already a clown killer in the game that they made themselves.
Okay.
I know it was actually the one that was most speculated for the 4-year anniversary, but they announced Pyramid Head instead, which I think is just as great.
Well, if the Raptor's not going to work, then my next suggestion, Jaws, would just be out of the question, I'm assuming.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, okay, well. All right, I got you.
Cory, you've got to check out Maneater then.
Yeah, I saw that came out. I heard so-so things about it. I heard it gets real repetitive. But I might check it out. All right, now, sticking with this kind of Pyramid Head, do you think this does anything for Silent Hill? Like, is this kind of like a teaser towards, hey, we hear you. You want some Silent Hill? We're going to put something out for you. A full game coming up,
I would hope so. They might have done this because they don't have anything in the works. Because I know they had one with Daryl from The Walking Dead. Yeah, Norman Reed at some point, but it was like canceled. There was a lot of fighting with the main creator, I think is.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole big story.
Yeah, there's a lot of story going on. But so if somehow people haven't heard of Silent Hill that play the game become interested in Silent Hill and play those games and watch the movies, I would hope that would bring them on to be like, hey, I want some like updated, awesome new Silent Hill stuff. Right. So I think this is gonna be great for both franchises, Dead by Daylight and Silent Hill, and I hope I just see more from both, honestly.
All right, cool.
And we'll get to the final news item that has my interest in the roundtable, and that is that the Mafia Trilogy was announced on May 19th, and that trilogy will include a remaster of Mafia 2, the definitive edition, a definitive edition of Mafia 3, but what I care about the most, a remake of Mafia 1, an Xbox original classic, a gangster tale as old and romantic as time. I understand that on the last level, I said, hey, Bethesda or whoever else, stop doing these remasters and these remakes, right? But that's mostly because those games are newer, and honestly, they ain't worth it, all right? But Mafia 1 is worth it in every single sense. The storytelling, the entire Mafia trilogy is known best for its storytelling. With Mafia 3, not so much the game mechanics got repetitive. It was really buggy and broken when it first came out. But the stories are the characters, the world is always fleshed out and great. The ending of Mafia 2, if you guys haven't played these games and know the endings, guess what? I don't care. I'm talking about it anyway. All right. And the ending of Mafia 2, where I forgot your character's name. Not your character, but your character's friend, because it's you and your friend. You guys get into the life, and there's a scenario that sets up where you finish doing this last mission. The boss is like, all right, you redeemed yourself, and you guys are driving, and you're in one car, your friend's in the other car. You guys are in this convoy, and you think you're going back, and then all of a sudden there's a split in the road, and you go one way, and your friend's car goes the other way.
Oh no!
And you're like, oh. They're about to kill this SOB. He's donezo. Like, and obviously, and I'm not going to spoil the Mafia 1 ending. And I'm not in the beginning or part of one of the missions in Mafia 2 actually goes back to Mafia 1. So the way that's been tied, and it's great. It's just overall, it's great. You get to be a gangster in 1910s, 1920s. You get to dress in the trench coat and the hat, and you wear the Tommy guns, and you speak like a wise guy, and it's, hey, oh, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's all that stuff. It's fantastic. I love crime dramas, love crime drama movies. The Godfather is my favorite movie. The Mafia scratches that itch better than any of the Godfather games.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. The first Godfather game was the second Godfather game was terrible. But guess what? The second Godfather game was a better version of Mafia 3. So that tells you what's happening there.
I'm all sorts of confused right now. But
yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I'm absolutely excited about that. I looked on Steam at the definitive editions. The definitive edition for Mafia 2 was $40, and I think for 3 was $48. Not happy about that. That seems a little pricey to just upgrade some stuff.
Right.
But if they wanted to charge even $60 for the Mafia 1 remake, I'm all for that. I'm all for it.
It's that good, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's way better than the other two games, and also they're remaking the game from scratch. So I get that. You know. But this is a game that's probably 15 years old, so I get it. It makes sense to me.
I think you just sold me on it.
Here we go.
There's that passion.
Yeah, it'll turn to, we'll get some anger and some angst here, but this is all good vibes on this.
Okay, that's what I like to hear.
I like it. I'm not the only one this time.
Exactly. Cory's gonna feel some type of way later on here, and I probably will at some point too. Matter of fact, let's get to the next segment here, which is what you're playing. So let's see here. Let's start with Cory on this one. Cory, what have you been playing?
Oh, well, thank you. I have been playing Warframe, this nice little indie third-person shooter action game that we will talk about later. I've been at the very beginning of a game called Disco Elysium. It's a CRPG, which is a classic RPG or computer RPG, whatever you call it. It's very story-heavy. I'm very early on, so I don't have much to talk about that yet. But I have played and I have finished Doki Doki Literature Club.
That is what again?
Doki Doki Literature Club.
Okay.
It's a genre of game I have never previously played. It is a visual novel, dating sim. So let me break it down to you real quick. This friend of yours, this girl, she convinces you to join a club at school. She's in the literature club. You join. There's 4 girls total. You are a guy, and you write poems to them. And that's the only gameplay mechanic, is that you are clicking words that you think will relate to one of the 3 girls that kind of want to become your girlfriend. So besides that, it's just reading. It's like reading a book with visuals, and it's nice. But and then it takes a turn. At the very beginning of the game, it says, what does it say, Jeremy? I know you just went over it.
Yeah, it says this game may be disturbing to some, like to some viewers or some players. Yeah,
I was some. It was disturbing to me. All right. It takes a point in the story where you're just like, wow, these like kind of like cutesy graphics and just horrible, disturbing things happen, and you feel bad. And it's just not suitable, like you said, for children or people with weak hearts. And then you play through a little more, it becomes even more disturbing, and then it gets very meta. It gets very meta, and it gets very fourth wall breaking. And I like the game. I enjoyed it. I don't think it'll be, a game that I, champion for game of the year, or, this was the best game I've played in the last 5 years. But I think it's going to be one of those games that I honestly never really forget about. It was an experience that I've never had, and I enjoyed myself with it. So there we go.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say about it? I know you played it a little bit. So anything to add?
I mean,
you're grimacing a little bit.
By the end of it, I was a little uncomfortable. I'll just leave it there.
Fair enough.
It was a somewhat pleasant ride for maybe the first hour and a half. Oh, a nice little cool, interesting anime thing, and then it went sideways. So yeah. But also it is free on Steam.
It's free. It's been out for a couple years now.
Yeah.
And
so
it's free.
If anyone is interested in those novels, and again, it does have mature themes, nothing that's like, promiscuous or anything like that, but there are some disturbing, I guess maybe horror elements, we could put it that way, that progress. Then just be aware of that. But if you are interested in it, it's free. It costs no money. So what you playing, David? What have you been playing?
Well, guys, audience, you'll never guess, but it's Dead by Daylight, as usual. Putting in the hours, trying to rank up. I know, it's crazy. I only put like 30 hours this week, so it's not a lot.
Gotta step those numbers up.
I know, but the problem is I'm playing some Apex too. I'm trying to get that platinum rank. I'm stuck in gold right now. I don't have two people to play with all the time, so deranking happens quite often. But it's fine. It's still fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. I also wouldn't be playing it. More foreshadowing. Warframe. I see a pattern here. But yeah, Overwatch as well. The newest hero, Echo, I'm having a really fun time playing with. Newer flying character, transforms into all the other characters that the enemies are playing as for an alt. It is amazing.
Yeah, I think she's awesome.
Yeah. So you've seen her.
Yeah, I played as her. She's really cool. She seems very strong as well.
Oh yeah, if you can use her, I don't think she has a ceiling for her skill. It's just up there. If you're really good with her, you're gonna just destroy.
I mean, she melts health. She melts health bars. So
yeah, she is definitely a carry character if you can master her abilities. That's where I stand right now for the games I'm playing. What about you, Jeremy?
So I have been playing an assortment of stuff. Played a little bit of Doki Doki Literature Club just to
what's that title again?
It is Doki Doki Literature Club.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 2 Dokis.
Okay.
And again, that was a thing. Also, I have been playing Frostpunk. It's probably what I've been playing the most, which is a very good game. It is their ability to world build and create this very bleak and unsettling kind of post-apocalyptic nuclear winter almost, because you're just trying to survive the winter, you're the last survivors, and you're trying to help basically rebuild civilization to some extent. It's great. It's made by the same developers that did this War of Mine, so they have a really good handle on creating these kind of bleak, emotionally taxing, morality questioning,
like no-win situations, right?
Yeah. You're just
like you never feel good.
Yeah. You're just literally trying to pick, the least awful option.
Okay.
Based on what you can do, but everything about it is really good. Obviously, from a graphical standpoint, if you care about that stuff, I think the game is beautiful. I really like the winter look and everything like that. The game mechanics on it are really interesting. You're not only doing the city building stuff, but also different things like policy, like a little bit of politics and stuff to it like that you have to account for. Obviously, the morality thing, having to kind of understand resources and building with restraints and limitations. All that stuff is really interesting and engaging. And then I also have been playing a very, very little bit of Outer Worlds. Very, very little bit. I may be into the first hour and a half of the game. I like it so far. Can't speak too much on it because I just haven't really experienced a lot of it. But I will say that as far as those type of RPGs, it's very nice to come out of even though I talked about the bleakness of Frostpunk, it's a bit different than the ugly bleakness that you usually get with a Fallout game. So it's nice to play someplace or play a game that has very vivid, colorful kind of art aesthetic to it. And it's great. The gunplay feels pretty good. I'm getting used to deciphering everything else. There's some parts of it that feels a little Borderlands to me, which I don't like. I'll have to, I guess, think and meditate on those more to figure out exactly what they are. But overall, really good first impression on that. And the last game I've been playing is Warframe. I've jumped back into it after being away from it for maybe a year and a half. Between my PC and my Xbox account, I probably have over 100 hours in the game, but it's been a while. And with Warframe, they're constantly adding stuff and they're constantly bringing in new things. So when I jumped back into Warframe a couple of weeks ago, it was, except for maybe the combat, everything else around it was almost nothing like it was when I last played it. So it was cool to look at that. But yeah, that is what I have been playing.
Awesome.
It's all very interesting.
It does. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be coming back with that fire, with the ever eternal burning question of was it worth it? This level of thoughts and players is brought to you by us. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, please show your support and let us know by subscribing to the podcast, following us on the socials, and contributing to community surveys and questions around our community segments. Doing so will help the podcast grow, keep our content engaging, and most importantly, make sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to the show. And welcome back to Thoughts and Players. We are moving on to, again, our favorite, your favorite, the most educational tool we have in this world, I believe. Was it worth it? Now, for this level, we're going to hear from Cory about a game that he's expressed some opinions on before, but he's going to give more of a value assessment of it. So, Cory, what do you want to tell the people about?
Okay, so we are going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Last level, I had told you I was done talking about it. I won't talk about it again. But like from the words of your favorite Michael Corleone from The Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. That's a good impression, right?
That was great.
Thank you.
That was great.
So let's talk Kakarot. All right, so first things first, I want to kind of highlight the positives. I had sensed that last level I'd beaten the game. So I did kind of like that third arc, and I did enjoy myself in that third arc. It was a lot more of my favorite characters, Adult Gohan, Gotenks, Majin Buu. Some people don't like that, but I do enjoy that part of the game. So some of the pros. It really does hit every major battle in the anime, and all those fights, you get to pick that main character. So you're not just playing as Goku throughout the game and just doing his battles. You do get to switch to Gohan, Vegeta, Gotenks, Future Trunks, all those guys, and you get to fight pretty much every major battle in the anime. It also has some really nice throwbacks to the original Dragon Ball. You see some of the earlier androids, and you can do kind of like side missions for them. The music and world is pretty good, representing the world of Dragon Ball. You know, if you like that kind of art style, if you like that kind of music, you're going to be okay with that. Now, let's go to the cons a little bit here. So all those pros right there, I think what's kind of sad about that is all those pros were directly related to the actual Dragon Ball Z franchise. None of them were related to just the game itself, and I think that's a big problem because the gameplay itself, I think, falls apart. First off is the open world. It's an open world RPG. It's more like open area. You have these like clusters of lands that you can fly through, and once you try to leave, you got to fast travel, and there's a loading screen. And you do a lot of fast traveling because the worlds aren't that big, and your character is very fast. So you get to an edge, you want to go somewhere else, you got to fast travel. And the loading, it's not bad. It's kind of quick, but there's a lot of it. And that's annoying for an open world RPG. Man, the lip syncing is awful. I don't know if they just did just for the Japanese audio and said, screw the English, but these guys do not match up at all. And it's very, very, very much takes you out of the game, along with the animations. There'll be intense moments in the game where two characters are just looking at each other. They're standing still. There's no facial animations that show anger or emotion. There's no, clenching of the fist. It's just two people talking back and forth. And I don't know, it's not that great. So let's actually get to the game, though. The RPG aspects, it's an open world RPG. They're not great either. Mostly what you're doing is you're putting points into your special attacks, like your Kamehameha, your beam attacks pretty much, and you're raising those up. It really didn't feel like it made that much of a difference because as you raise those up, your enemies got stronger. So it was kind of like it evened out. There wasn't really a way to make Goku like a unique fighter, which is fine because they want Goku to fight how he fights. But at the same time, when you're doing an RPG, hey, maybe you want to make him more of a speedster. Maybe you want to make him more of a ranged character or just a straight up melee. You don't really have the ability to do any of that. Yeah, and combat's the worst offender in the entire game. Combat is fine, but it's not great, and it's simple is the issue. You get one attack, which is B, and that's your only attack. You just punch. You press B. You have a Kai attack or a key attack with X. You throw out a little energy ball, and then if you hold one of the back buttons, you're allowed to do one of your bigger attacks, and that's pretty much it. There's a dodge, there's a block, but it's all very standard. No chances are taken on the combat at all. There was a couple times where I had to step away. I gave the controller to my wife, And she, without playing, I was 20 hours in. She beat the battles just fine. No issue. She played them, beat them. I came back. Hey, thanks for doing that for me. That's what the combat's like. And it all just makes for a very poor game. Not counting the expectations of what I think a Dragon Ball Z game should be, which is what I talked about last level. But the actual gameplay is poor. At its core, the biggest Dragon Ball Z fan, they're going to get a little bit of enjoyment. I got a little bit of enjoyment. But this game is not worth it. It's not worth it at $60. It's not worth it at $40. You're really thinking about, is it worth your time? The game's about 34 hours long, which is, hey, good value. But you don't want to play those 34 hours. At least I didn't. So in my mind, it is 100% not worth it. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I talked a ton.
That's fine. That's fine. And I
it's
just
not
want
worth
to add,
it, man.
That's good. I like it. Finally, one that we aren't trying to throw at everybody.
Finally, one I spent $60 on, and it's not worth it. Thanks.
Right. But like, I've stayed away from Dragon Ball Z games because they're all the same. They're just updated. You just fight through the anime arcs, and that's what it is. I play a phone game that's Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, which is great. Mm-hmm. It's a completely different kind of game. But for PC or Xbox and PlayStation, those kind of games, they're just repeated. And I would buy a new game on the spot if it was new and like what you're looking for is what I'm looking for. And I think that's what they need to do.
And it being repeated is not good. But if it was being repeated and all the mechanics behind it, if it had a deep leveling system, if it had I didn't even get on the side quests. The side quests are all fetch quests. You talk to a person, hey, collect me 4 apples and 2 fish. It's not fun at all. But if all these things were really fun, the combat was really fun, the traversal was really fun, you can okay, hey, I'm playing the same game, but all of it's raised up to 11. It's not. It's raised up to 4.
I mean, well, those people got to eat, Cory. I don't know how you don't expect them to survive with 4 apples and 2 fish. I
mean. Right. Yeah, but definitely not worth it, in my opinion. If you're a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, you probably already bought the game. So anyone else who's hey, I see it on sale, it's not worth your time. Not at all. Buy a better RPG.
Is there at any price point, would you say it may be of decent value?
Like I said, man, it's about your time. And for most of the game, I was kind of regretting playing it. Not everyone's going to feel that way. Not everyone's going to have my opinion. You might buy the game and be like, wow, this game was everything I wanted. But for me personally, it was a slog. And that last third was pretty good. They kind of ratcheted up a little bit. But it was kind of too late by then. It was boring, and I just wanted it to be done. And I had bought, I shouldn't have, but I bought the special edition. So it came with all the DLC. They have 1 episode out right now. There's going to be 2 more. I don't think I'm going to jump into them at all. I don't want to. I tried a little bit of the first DLC. It was boring. I don't need to play this. I already beat the game. I was done with it. So
it's less, I guess, less of a price valuation of it when it fails, and more of a time investment area.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to Streets of Rage, we were wondering if that $25 was too much. I don't think any price point, you got to really just decide for yourself. But for me, $20 wouldn't have been worth it. I wouldn't have wanted to finish it at $20. I probably finished it because it was $60. I want to get my money's worth out of this game. So I really think it's more of a value per time,
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, you heard it here.
Yeah, it was real cool 40 hours, Jeremy. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, chickens,
you
ducks,
sold
and hens.
me by not selling it.
Yeah. You heard it here. This thing isn't worth it, man. Just watching animes.
That's right.
Yeah. So going off of that, that's clearly a game that is, in Cory's mind, not that good, and therefore there's really no good reason to play it. But that leads us to our brand new segment. A segment called No Good Reason. And in this segment, we talk about the terrible games that we love. I mean, these are games that maybe shouldn't be discussed. They shouldn't be your favorite. They're janky. There's a bunch of other stuff behind them. But you know what? It's just something about it, right? It's just something about it that makes you say, fits like a nice old warm glove. And I don't even know if people wear gloves like that. But that's the metaphor I'm going to use it. So Let's go with David. What game do you love for no good reason?
Well, I'll tell you what. Resident Evil Survivor. It was only about like hour and a half long. People speed run it in like 35 minutes. It's a quick game. It was a first person shooter, unlike every other one is all third person. But I tried to go back and play it on my PS3 a couple years ago, and the controls are god awful. I should have mentioned it was originally for the PS1. So trying to go back and play that after years and years was such a bad experience. I couldn't play it. I couldn't get past the first part of the game anymore. So I just respectively put it back in the case and haven't touched it since. But when I was able to play it and beat it, I loved it. Was it because it has the stamp Resident Evil on it? 100% most likely. But it's always going to hold a small piece of my heart. And for no good reason, that's why I love that game. What about you, Jeremy?
So I play this game called The Guild 2 Renaissance. I was kind of trying to describe this to Cory the other day, and it's really kind of somewhat of a hard game to describe. But basically, you're playing as a guy in the 11th, 12th century, and I primarily play the Dynasty mode. There's different modes, but most people play the Dynasty mode. And it's basically about you starting a family and building a dynasty of a family. You have a different skill or a different class you're in, and it therefore allows you to buy and work at different businesses. So, for instance, you can be a patron. A patron deals mostly with stuff like farms or, different stuff like that. A craftsman is someone that can own a brick place. They may own and work at a smithy or something like that. Scholars are people that can own things like banks and churches, and you have all these different classes. And then there's the rogues, and the rogues, of course, criminals. You can open up a pub that has prostitutes in it, send prostitutes out and make money and different stuff like that. But you're basically starting as this, and you have to eventually find, a wife, and you have kids, and you're building up skills. So it has RPG elements, but it also has building sim elements because you're building businesses. You're upgrading those businesses to make more money and to unlock different things you can create and sell. And you're also working within the politics of the town you're in. So if you're in a small town, there may be mayor, bailiff, and accountant or something like that. And you can actually, depending on your status in society, you can say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to go run for the bailiff. Or let's say it's the sheriff. I'm going to go run for the sheriff position because the sheriff position gives me immunity in crimes, and I can arrest and put people in jail that I want to that are, different factions or other families that I'm warring with and I want, command over, and then move up from there. So you have the different political elements of it. That's really interesting. Ideally, you'd want to get your whole family into politics so you could own the whole town, arrest and send to execution all the families you're competing against, and you just run the town with an iron fist from a political as well as business standpoint. Another interesting thing about it is that, the towns grow. As you make more money, as the economy grows, your town grows, and the different types of offices you can get to grows. So these are all the things that make me love this for no good reason, because on the other side of this, the game is full-blown jank. The pause function on the game doesn't pause the game. It just makes everyone super slow. There's no actual pause. Even when you push the pause, the game says pause and people are still moving. It has an element where you have different dialogues you can have when you're courting a woman. You may enter something like compliment her, and your guy may say, "Oh, my lady, you have such beautiful eyes." And then you keep doing it, and eventually, as you keep dialogue breaks eventually to where if I push the complimenter again, my guy would just do like he sounds like he just came back from The Sims or something. It's just nonsense. The dialogue just breaks, and the lady's like, "Oh, that's such a lovely thing to say," or whatever. So the dialogue doesn't work. You click on things. Sometimes you have to click on the same thing 3-4 times in order to actually select it. All the information you get, different notifications that pop up, they're hard to find. You have to look for them. And the UI is poorly designed. The game is ugly. I mean, it is so ugly. Everything looks like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be this hyperbolic, but I am going to. It looks like if you took a really low poly game, a low res game, let's say from like 2005, right? And then just in the game, you just took like a little tiny bit of poop and just smeared it, right? So that it kind of covers the look of it, the color of it, right? That's how it looks. It's like, why is it brown like this? This doesn't make any sense. So it has all these different things going against it. And the fact that the game can be short, it can be long. The game cheats. I know everyone says that. But darn it, the computer cheats. Because my guy starts with $10,000 and I can't make any money. And these other families start with $2,000 and they own everything. And that's not fair. It's cheating somehow. The game is rigging the game somehow. So you have to constantly combat against that. You have to combat against a bunch of other things that randomly happen in the game. The game also doesn't work, like straight up just launch sometimes. There's so many things that are wrong with it. But I get to be an 11th or 12th century dude that can end up selling knives and making a bunch of money. And then I can hire guards, or I can hire personal guards and arm them with it. And then I can send them off and have them assassinate a mayor. Now, I don't condone doing that in real life, but in this game, look, man, you got to try to make that money. So you got to figure out what to do when you do it, right? The freedom of options. I kind of talked about that with Morrowind. Freedom of choice is something that really hooks me. And this game has a lot of that, but you have to get through a bunch of drawl and just nastiness and really jankiness of the game to get there. But I love it, man. 40 hours into that bad boy, and I feel like I got another 400 in me. So that's it for me. No good reason. Cory, what about you?
Oh man, all right. So I got an oldie here. It's a GameCube game called Custom Robo. Have either of you heard of it?
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay, well, all right, let me break it down for you. So Custom Robo is it's a mech fighting game. So let me see, how should I describe this? Okay, so you play as a character, you go to this bounty hunting precinct, and you're like, hey, I want to become a bounty hunter. They don't want you. You go on a mission anyways. You get this little cube that becomes your custom robo, hence the title. And you're pretty much just battling with this robot. You're fighting other guys, and it's a little bit like Pokemon where you're not actually like fighting the dude. You go into an arena, a small arena, and you fight with your robots. And whoever loses just kind of like, I lost that fight. You know, well, you won. I won't shoot you now. So that's always fun. Yeah, so you fight in this arena, and the game it's very repetitive. You pretty much, the story mode is just like, 100 battles or 200 battles. I don't remember. It was when I was young. But the game's awesome because you have all these customization things for your robot. You can switch out the gun. You can switch out the bombs. It has like a nice little like arena fighting kind of style where you're flying around. And it very much feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. The story is corny. It starts to escalate to like universe-ending proportions, and it's like, come on, you're fighting little robots. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's kind of one of those games that's always been in my heart. I know it's not a great game, but man, Nintendo, could you please bring it back?
Whoa!
Bring it back.
I got two segments in there. Could you please? And yes.
Segmentception.
So that's my game, Custom Robo.
Oh, nice. Actually, we all have three very different games that we love for no good reason. And
they were so different, and they all sound horrible.
They do. They do. Yeah. So we're going to move on to our next segment where, again, we're bringing it back. It's an oldie. It's a goodie. And by oldie, I mean we did it in the first level, and now we're bringing it back in the third one. That is the Indie Spotlight. We like to spotlight independent games that we've played. And if you may have listened to us, or if you were listening closely in that What You Playing, you might have picked up on that we've all been playing a game called Warframe. And that is what we are spotlighting in the Indie Spotlight segment. So, let's see here. David, what you think about Warframe?
All right, so before I even played it, one of my younger brothers is actually really, really into this game. He loves the game. He's talked to me about it quite often, and I was still unsure what I was getting myself into. So I picked Volt as one of the main starting characters, and I had fun with them. It was like he has a shocking ability, and just the fighting mechanics in this game is actually really good. It's very new to me. You can aim and run at the same time, which you can't do in a lot of games like Overwatch that I play. If you start running or jumping, you just unaim, and that's actually kind of annoying. But the gameplay, great. I really had a great time with it. Just running around, hitting people over and over and killing them. Just headshots with the bow and arrow, getting them stuck in the wall, which I didn't notice until you told me about it, Jeremy. And I was just like, that's awesome. But being the gamer that I am, the stories, the setting up, the character building, I'm just not into that. Just give me a map, give me a guy, and let me go kill things, is how I am. So, in my opinion, great game, but not for me.
Some nuance there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
I got you. Yeah. Cory, what was your impression of Warframe?
First time I played Warframe was 2 weeks ago when you recommended it. I was surprised by it. You think of indie games, I kind of knew what it looked like, but when you think of indie games, you think of sprite-based graphics, you think of small mechanics. This is a AAA game. It's got a lot of depth to it, I feel like. The actual combat's a lot of fun. I love shooting the bow and arrow. I love wall running, double jump, all that good stuff, And I also picked the Volt, which I thought had a lot of cool abilities. And mixing all these together made for like a really fun like mission. And speaking of missions, I like how short they are. You can finish a mission in 5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to get into like an hour-long session. You can jump on, play for a little bit, and be done with it. It was a lot of fun. I would say it was very confusing. I don't play a lot of looter shooters, so maybe that's my own fault. But in the hub world, I had no clue what I was doing. So I just kept going mission to mission, which was kind of fun. But I did enjoy the game, and I think I'll continue playing it from time to time. So that's my little thought on it.
Yeah, this is cool. This is partly kind of why I was thinking we could do Indie Spotlight on this, because I want to spotlight it because it is a great independent game. This is outside. They developed this and published this outside of the AAA sphere because they couldn't get funding, and they really had a hard time pitching the idea to different places to get the funding for it. But it has some blemishes, which, all games do. We just talked about games that have a bunch of blemishes that we love anyway. But Warframe, yes. The thing I love about Warframe, I think most people love about Warframe, is the combat. The combat is some of the most gratifying combat I've played in a lot of games, because when you shoot, even with something like the pistol, it has nice kick. You feel it good in the controllers. The controllers are tight. Nothing feels like it's just wandering or it's loose. You don't feel like you're playing a Fallout game. It's tight, nice aiming. It's the melee and everything is great. And obviously the maneuverability, the way your character moves. I would for people, if they want a frame of reference for it, for me, the first time I played it, I immediately thought back to a game called Vanquish for 360 that was developed by Platinum Games, I believe.
Okay.
The way you're able to move, how dynamically and different things like that is great. But you guys both mentioned confused or lost. The larger narrative and mechanics of the game are convoluted. They just are. And they've been that way since the beginning. And it's good to get you guys' impression as new players stepping in, because, like I said, I haven't played it in maybe like a year and a half ago, or, year and a half, and they haven't fixed it since. So it's still convoluted. there's a very active, robust wiki that's been developed by players for it. But that's one of the main issues that Warframe has, is that it's convoluted and that it's less, it reminds me of Destiny. It's less a game of narrative and more a game of lore. So you have to dig into things. You have to really be investing a lot of time in the game to figure out what you're even really doing and who the main players are. And from there, you're able to kind of get a better grip of things. But it's narratively it's not the best. I think David, you said when we were going to our playthrough, you were taken to a scene, some cut scene, and you're like, where am I? What is this? What's happening here?
Yeah. I no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you had no idea who this person was and why you do or don't like them. That's stuff that's in the game. That's one of the downsides of it. The other downside of it is, Cory, you mentioned it being a looter shooter. It is a looter shooter, and it is on the grindier side of being a looter shooter. That is because it is a free-to-play game, so it has regular in-game currency and it has premium currency. Premium currency you mostly have to pay for. Now, the cost, here's the thing. It doesn't feel exploitative or it doesn't feel predatory. That's the good thing about it, but it is there. So that's something that you're aware of.
Is it mostly like aesthetic stuff, clothing options and different things, or is it stuff that really does help you like in the game, equipment, better skills? Oh, so it is that kind of. Oh, it is all that. Okay,
it's all that.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. I mean, I know the game's free, so they got to make money somehow, but yeah, I can see that being like a little bit of a disappointment once you're like 30 hours in. You realize, if I want to keep playing, I got to throw some money down.
Yeah, and it's also a game I would recommend that if you're going to get into playing it, if you're not going to play it with friends, you either have to play it a lot or you have to find some friends to play with, because there's a clan aspect of it. And the clan is what allows you to go have access to a dojo. And that's where you can buy games, or not buy games, but buy weapons or buy gear and do it that way using the in-game currency instead of the premium currency. So if you're someone that likes to play solo and you're not really into the clan stuff, that investment might not work for you, because like for me, when I was playing it initially, a whole bunch, I was in a clan. Last time I logged in, they kicked me out because I wasn't on there as much. So
sorry,
man. Right. That's how it works. That's how it works. I logged back on. You guys get me kicked out my clan. But that's one of the issues of it. But besides that, the reason I really wanted to spotlight is because I think this is a game and a developer that really is trying to be as customer or gamer first as they can with their approach to it. This is a free-to-play game. They have to monetize it. It's not predatory. It is grindy, but I do think based upon the combat, based upon the really cool suits and abilities you have, I think it's a really interesting game to spotlight. It's not perfect, but I think the principles behind the game are something that should be spotlighted.
Yeah, I would say this, like when you see a free-to-play game, it's kind of almost like a dirty word unless you're like a battle royal. Battle royal free-to-plays are okay. Every other free-to-play, you kind of get an expectation of that game. And I'll say I had an expectation, but this game was way better than I thought it was. Once I actually got playing, got that combat, got that mission structure, I had a really good time with it. And I don't know, it's a good indie, and I would recommend anyone who's interested just to give it a try. It's free,
Yep.
Yes, it being an indie game, how it played and its smoothness, and besides the convoluity, or however you say that word, I was very, very pleased with it being indie. I was not expecting it to be as well made as it was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say give it a try. Just that combat alone. I think it's top tier action, fast paced combat. I'm not going to say it's something like a Bayonetta or something like that, but like I said, Vanquish is probably the best reference I have for it. It feels really good. It feels really good to fly through those levels.
Yeah, it felt great.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
So there you go, people. If you're interested, check out that Warframe. Free to play on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Just do your thing.
It's everywhere.
Switch too, yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, and Switch. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Switch. It was actually like kind of one of the first games to come to Switch.
Yeah, highlight their like Nintendo Online service. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of them they highlighted.
Yeah, good catch there. So that leads us to our final thoughts. this is one last thought we each make about anything related to the episode, this level, or whatever, It's kind of just, hey, whatever, dude, So final thoughts. Who wants to go on the final thoughts first? Okay, Cory. What's your final thought?
All right, so my final thought is more of like a did you know? So I'm going to throw a couple out there for you. Okay, did you know if you buy a pre-built gaming PC, it could have 2 graphics cards in it? The one that you paid big money for, and then the standard one that comes on like every computer, the motherboard. Did you know that?
No.
Okay, and did you know if you plug your HDMI in the wrong slot, you are not taking advantage of that good graphics card at all for 3 years? Did you know that?
I'm having a feeling you might have done this.
I will say I did not know that. So for 3 years, I've had a PC that's been pretty good, but it hasn't been pretty good because I haven't been able to run anything because I had it plugged into the standard graphics card that comes with the computer instead of my, gaming graphics card. I'm not a PC guy, but I bought one because I wanted to get into it. So I want to shout out to my buddy Eric, who figured it out in like 10 seconds. He's like, oh, yeah, this is probably your problem. I'm like, what? I had 2D games running at like 10 frames a second. I could not play on this thing. And I was about ready to buy, a new everything. But he really helped me out. I'm now starting to play a little more PC. So thank you for that. I am an idiot. And that's all, folks.
That is legend.
That's my favorite final thought so far.
3 years.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is great.
Shame. Ding, ding, ding. Shame.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I'm almost speechless.
Yeah.
I know you're probably both disappointed. You both are PC guys.
Well,
this might be my last level. I might be kicked out.
I might play on PC the most now, but I had a friend build mine because I legitimately had no idea what I was doing. I was like, look, I have this amount of money. Build it. She was like, yeah, okay, cool. And she did. I was like, thank you so much. I thought,
right.
I had no idea. I would have done the same thing, honestly. If that was plausible for me to do, I would have done it.
I was just talking to Jeremy about Disco Elysium a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, it's just not running really well on my computer. Well, it runs well now. Runs great. It's fantastic. I love it. Someone save me. Someone go.
All right, I'll go.
Yeah, David.
Final thought for
David,
me is I want to see from the community what their for no good reason is. What game really sets your heart on a rapid fire? Like what do you love, even though no one should play it? And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitch at BlindRepper. Thank you.
Link will be in the show notes. My final thought is, I think June 5th, the Command & Conquer remaster comes out. So I have to unfortunately give EA some of my money. But I'm looking forward to it. Some good old-fashioned strategy games. That's the best remedy for right now. That's really all I can think of. I'm thinking about that, looking forward to that. So I might be limited on the games I play because I might just be playing that for a while. Who knows? But that is my final thought. This brings us to the conclusion of level 3 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. Now, if you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast service. Again, we are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Google Podcasts. You can also like the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thoughtsandplayers, as well as Instagram at thoughts.players. You can also give us a listen/view on YouTube. You're on there as well, where we put up the main podcast as well as some clips. So maybe you want to piecemeal some stuff before you listen to the big old meal. That's totally fine. But that is it for us. We will be back again. And once again, we appreciate all you guys for listening and your support. And like David said, let us know. What game do you like for no good reason? Let us know. Do you agree with Cory? Do you think DBZ Kakarot was not worth it? Because he is definitely confident that it's not. And I guess I'm going to believe him. So go ahead and do that. Let us know what you think of the show on the socials, and we will get with you guys and catch you on the next level.
Bye, guys.